Thank you very much, Professor Stranzalis. Thank you to invite me to this webinar. And thank you to Dr. Boscos. And so I'm very glad to be with you on this Sunday. So I'm going to give some words about gamma knife radiosurgery for functional disorders. I just have to put that away. Yeah. So, no, sorry, I have to check that. Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah. So the summary will be trigeminal neuralgia, then some words about epilepsy, about abnormal movement disorders, and then some words, short word about psychosurgery. First, trigeminal neuralgia. As you probably know, the concept of radiosurgery has been expressed 60 years ago by Professor Lexell from Karolinska. I told you that yesterday. Sorry, I'm just checking if it's working. Yeah. Interestingly, radiosurgery. Yeah. Interestingly, radiosurgery has been used for the first time to treat a trigeminal neuralgia in a female patient. This patient was improved by the treatment. You can see her in this picture. The target was the gaseous ganglion. It took half a century for this treatment anyway to be used again for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. The radiobiological effect of radiosurgery on nervous tissue is complex and varies with the delay after treatment. At an acute stage and early stage, there may be a modification of glucose metabolism that explains the control of seizures observed in case, for instance, of the treatment of AVMs. Then demyelinization and edema is observed. For instance, you can see that when you treat a metastatic lesion. Then neuronal death occurs. You see that, for instance, after a thalamotomy. Then an ischemia occurs, and you can use that for the treatment for AVMs, for instance. And then a necrotic lesion occurs. Of course, the timing is dose dependent. Radiobiology, of course, combines two effects, one immediate cellular, but you don't use that. It is the other one with microvascularization on normal tissue, for instance, that can have an effect. In reality, we don't know exactly all the mechanism involved in radiosurgery. There are probably other effects, basically neuromodulation, working without destroying the structure of the nervous tissue and producing an effect, as Konsolka suggested, for instance, with his work on animal models. A large number of clinical studies have been published about radiosurgery of trigeminal neuralgia. At least 3 issues were studied: the delay of response to treatment, the toxicity induced by the treatment, and the sustainability of this response. Parameters influencing their occurrence were then analyzed. If the basic principle of the treatment by radiosurgery is to put a shot on the 5th nerve, number of nuances of the technique, such as the choice of the targets and of the dose, have been evaluated. One can say that it has been a long road between the first study by Konsolka in 1996 and the last report of Jean Régis, which came out in 2015. Schematically, after the initial ganglion target, the root entry zone has been chosen at the beginning by Douglas Konsolka. Then a more anterior retrogarcerian target what's happening here? No, sorry, yeah. Then a more anterior retrogarcerian target has been studied particularly by Jean Régis. The choice of the root entry zone was based on anatomical and radiobiological reasons, with the rays involving a transition between oligonadoglial cells and Schwann cells, the former being more radiosensitive. Konsolka tested an escalation of dose averaging 70 gray with a fair efficacy but limited durability of this response and acceptable rate of side effects. Other authors testing higher doses at the same location, or the route entry zone, found unacceptable levels of toxicity. On the left, a study from Stanford with 74% reported numbness and among 39 severe ones. And on the right, a study from De Salles, UCLA, with 58% of numbness and among them 20% of severe ones. This explains why other authors, in particular Jean Régis, tried to define a target placed away from the brainstem, approximately 8 millimeters in front of the brainstem, with average doses of 85 gray. And he found interesting results with a complete pain sedation rate of 91% reached in 6 months, with a durability of the response of 65% at 5 years and a pretty low morbidity, about 10%. He found the existence of at least one previous surgery to be the negative prognostic factor for occurrence of pain sedation. Presence of hypoesthesia after radiosurgery and having less than 2 previous surgeries or a microvascular decompression were positively predicting durability of pain sedation. The probability to develop a neuropathic toxicity was 20% with a plateau after 4 years. Interestingly, the same team has shown that the speed of response to treatment, especially if it occurs within the first 48 hours, was associated with a lower risk of hypoesthesia after treatment. Regardless the risk of toxicity related to the irradiation of the brainstem or the amount of the dose, there is a risk of toxicity relating to the length or the volume of the nerve included in the treatment isodose. We call that the Flickinger effect because it was observed by Flickinger from Pittsburgh when he used not 1 but 2 shots to increase the volume of the fifth covered by radiosurgery. This effect was also observed in the case of extended shots by blocking the beams, leading to an increased toxicity in patients treated by the Brussels team. In this case, a better pain outcome was observed, but the cost was a much worse rate of toxicity. That was 49% of toxicity versus 15%. The volume of nerve integrated in isodose could also have an influence on the durability of the response after gamma knife. Konsolka has shown that the risk of recurrence after radiosurgery decreased as the maximum of the delivered dose applied to a smaller volume of the nerve. Finally, a recently published study seems to show that regardless of the dose delivered, the dose rate could considerably modify the radiobiological effect of the treatment and thus influence the expected results. A low rate being associated with a decreased efficacy of the treatment. As you can see in the figure, the BED, biologically equivalent dose, increases with a shorter treatment time. What about the relationship between decompression surgery and the effectiveness of radiosurgery? Tualeska showed in this paper that patients who had a previous Janeta were less likely to have initial pain sedation, but had an unchanged risk of neuropathy and maintenance of sedation. In addition, patients with vascular nervous conflict did not have any difference regarding efficacy or toxicity of radiosurgery compared to others. In the particular case of multiple sclerosis, patients have a higher risk of recurrence than other patients, as you can see in this curve. In the case of a second treatment, there was essentially an increased risk of hypoesthesia compared to the first radiosurgery. Therefore, after considering results of the literature, if we address the main issues of treatment of trigeminal neuralgia after gamma knife radiosurgery, parameters that might be associated with efficacy are dose to the brainstem, previous surgery and hypoesthesia, to toxicity are dose to brainstem and Flickinger effect, and to durability of response are hypoesthesia after treatment, integrated dose to brainstem, previous surgery, and multiple sclerosis. Therefore, the technical nuances that might influence outcome of these issues in radiosurgery are choice of the targets that should be anterior to brainstem and posterior to gastrocganglion, those that should not exceed 90 gray, but should be at least 80 gray, and the no use of plugging that will make a Flickinger effect, as we said before. At La Salpêtrière, we have treated around 500 patients for essential trigeminal neuralgia using gamma knife perfection and then ICON. We will focus on the population of 995 patients treated for essential neuralgia. The average follow-up was 22 months. The average age of the patients was 69 years old. 6 of them presented with typical neuralgia from the first territory, 64 the second, 47 the third, and 78 more than one territory. There were neuralgias resistant to previous treatment. All of them had been already treated with drugs, a majority with Tegretol, but also Torontin, Trileptal, Rivotril, Lyrica. 40% had a previous surgical treatment, 11 a Janeta, 7 a balloon, 9 alcoholization, and 66 thermorhizotomy, and 4 a first gamma knife. The procedure used for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is that of any stereotactic procedure, fixing the frame under local anesthesia, performing multimodal stereotactic imaging using different MRI sequences, which are 3D SPGR, GADO, and Fiesta, as well as a CT scan, of course. Then realization of dosimetry on the fifth nerve, and then treatment. After placing the frame at the local anesthesia, we use as the target retrogastrian ganglion called plexus triangularis, which where the trigeminal nerve touched the petrous bone posteriorly to Meckel cave. Tolerance of brainstem was defined as less than 10 cube millimeter at 12 gray isodose and less than 1 cube millimeter at 15 gray isodose. If full dose was not possible to realize, we decreased the dose until 80 gray. Then we were plugging the shots to avoid, of course, the brainstem. We used the Barrow neurological score for pain and numbness. Results show that pain sedation rate was 93%, of which 62% were without any medication. Median delay before pain relief was 52 days. Actual rates of pain relief at 3, 6, and 12 months was 73, 80, and 88% respectively. With a multivariate analysis, previous surgery was a negative predictive variable, but there was no influence on age, dose, or existence of a vascular conflict. Mean delay between gamma knife and side effects was 13.6 months. Actual rate of survival without side effects was 11% at 1 year, 21% at 3 years. 10 patients had bothersome or very bothersome side effects. Side effects were hypoesthesia in 21 cases, dysesthesia in 14 cases. No complete corneal anesthesia or anesthesia dolorosa was observed. Dose to brainstem was not correlated with occurrence of side effects. Surprisingly, age less than 74 years old was predicting a better outcome in terms of side effect occurrence. Regarding the time between sedation and painful recurrence, 19 patients relapsed during the observation period. The mean follow-up was 23 months. which is relatively short, the probability of maintaining sedation was 93% at 1 year and 78% at 5 years. Using a log rank test, significant predictive parameters of maintenance of pain relief were previous surgery on the left side and occurrence of hypoesthesia on the right side. Follow-up was assessed by consultations at 1 month, 3 months, and then every year. Treatment after gamma knife failure were often drugs, but also surgery, thermorhizotomy, balloon, or a second gamma knife. In conclusion, radiosurgery is currently the therapeutic approach which has the best efficacy-toxicity ratio in the treatment of drug-resistant trigeminal neuralgia. When it is realized second line after another surgical procedure, the efficacy is reduced, but side effects are not increased. The ratio efficacy-toxicity depends on 3 parameters: choice of target, dose, and length of the fifth include inside isodose. Here is the algorithm we use in our institution. When the compression is not indicated or feasible, the decision criterion is based on the emergency of pain sedation. If a quick effect is required, excepting for the first territory, thermorhizotomy should be preferred to gamma knife. In other cases, given its efficacy and relatively harmlessness, radiosurgery is a therapeutic approach that can be offered as a first-line surgical technique. Now, some words about epilepsy. The clinical experience with radiosurgery for epilepsy on lesions located in highly functional areas has suggested the possibility of gamma knife-induced functional effects without deterioration of underlying cerebral cortex. To investigate these hypothetical changes, these authors used animal models that were irradiated stereotactically. It has been shown that irradiation of the striatum was rapidly changing the spectrum of biochemical agents involved in occurrence of epilepsy, especially GABA, amino acid, excretory acid were dramatically decreased after irradiation. Other mechanisms may also be involved in the control of seizures after radiosurgery, like stem cell migration or neuromodulatory effects. Mesial temporal lobe epilepsy is due to hippocampus atrophia. This kind of epilepsy refractory to drugs represent the main indication of gamma knife radiosurgery. The idea is to realize like a radiosurgical amygdalohypocampectomy. The target is the anterior parahippocampal cortex, the basal and lateral part of the amygdala, and the anterior part of the hippocampus. Results suggest a good efficacy with 65% of patients seizure-free, no psychological alteration, but 9 visual field deficit. Psychologically and quality of life improvement as shown by figure 4. The upper graph shows the probability to be seizure-free. MRI shows a contrast enhancement at 17 months that disappear at 27 months after gamma knife radiosurgery. This study shows that long-term results with a mean of 8 years are encouraging, with 60% of the patients still seizure-free. The prescription dose used is 24 grams to 50%. You can see here the shape of the dosimetry on the left part of the slide. Interestingly, these 2 studies analyzed the variable memory and showed that the outcome was better in patients treated with gamma knife than in those treated surgically. In the study of Bartolomei, memory was very much improved in 4 out of 13 patients. A word about callosotomy. It can be a good substitute to microsurgical callosotomy for the same indications, or may be used as a salvage procedure. It's reserved essentially for kids. Here is a case of a female 70 years old presenting a hypothalamic hematoma with cognitive, endocrinological, and neurological consequences since its youth. The treatment has stopped completely the gelastic seizures and almost all the partial seizures, but drugs could not be stopped. Neuropsychological assessment has shown some progress, but this patient, of course, is still impaired, of course, with the disease. The surgery of that is pretty tough, and so radio surgery kind of a good alternative for these patients. Some words about movement disorders. Determination of deep target involved in the process of walking, writing, etc., has begun with the individualization of the VEM, ventro-intermediate nucleus. Guyot has described in '68 with precision the functional anatomy of subcortical structures of the brain and its correlation with imaging using X-ray. The first technique to be used was a thalamotomy by thermolesion. In this paper comparing thalamotomy by thermolesion and stimulation, they were looking for a difference in terms of efficacy or toxicity. Toxicity has been found to be much more frequent in thalamotomy with thermolesion than with stimulation. But then Oye in Japan and then Nirajan from the team of Pittsburgh have shown that thalamotomy induced by gamma knife radiosurgery could reach a good efficacy in terms of tremor control with fair cognitive status and few side effects, 3.6% in this series. So this is the way you localize the target using the Guyot diagramma. You can see that here. We use the Fan-Tolosa Marine grade classification. You can see in this slide the exact position of the lesion induced by gamma knife with a 4 mm collimator and 120 gray at the 100%. And you can see the follow-up at 12 months. During follow-up, significant change of the image can be observed, especially in flare, and you have also very good responders with sometimes contrast enhancement that can most of the time disappear with corticosteroids. This paper from team of Marseille, published in Neurology, show that on the population of patients with tremor mixing essential tremor and Parkinson, significant improvement was observed in tremor, and daily living was improved in 72% of the patients. There was a transient side effects in only one patient. This slide shows nicely the stability of neuropsychological assessment in the left part before and after gamma knife, and the clinical improvement of the patients visualized by the decrease of the score of several tests: posture, intention, drinking, drawing, writing before and after gamma knife. You can see that here. So very good results here. We can also sometimes use a palidotomy for some Parkinsonian people for their dyskinesia with sometimes good results when it's bilateral. Concerning radiosurgery, it's the obsessive compulsive disorder that can be treated by anterior capsulotomy. So, thank you very much for your attention. This is the team here with the photography in Marseille, here in Stockholm. So this is the team. So I thank you very much for your attention.